that you? We're going to go ahead and start off with prayer. You have to little.
Let us pray together. Okay, everyone stop talking, please. And let's pray together. Our blessed, glorious, wonderful Heavenly Father, we come together today acknowledging your presence with us today, acknowledging that all that we stand for, all that we do, comes from you. Lord, you are our strength, you are our shield, you are the vine and we are the branches, and we trust in your leadership for us. We commit this meeting, WRCNO, to you today. Fill us with your presence. Direct all that we say, all that we think, all that we respond according to the power of your Holy Spirit and according to the truth of the Word of God. Thank you, Lord, for sending your Son at Christmas time, and we honor your presence and give you all the praise, honor, and glory. Fill us with joy and peace and love for one another. In the name of Christ we pray.
We're going to go pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everyone to our annual Christmas meeting. Our first guest speaker is Christy Haik.
So for those of you that don't know Christy Haik, she's the founder of Louisiana Conservatives. And I'm going to let her explain to you how that began, and where we're going to go from there. And so she has a few minutes to a couple minutes for Q&A after, okay? Thank you, Christy.
Thank you, Martha. Thank you, Terry. I appreciate the invitation today. Just a little bit of background on me. If you don't know who I am, I'm from Baton Rouge originally. I was born and raised there, but I flew for American Airlines as an international flight attendant for 25 years. And during that time, I had the opportunity to travel the world, essentially, and to see how the comparison of the United States with other countries, the situation that we have here is not to be found anywhere else. We enjoy freedoms that no other country can say that they do, and they're hard-won freedoms. Our forefathers fought and died for those freedoms. So I fast forward to my children were born and raised in Germany. During those 25 years that I flew, 20 of those years were spent in Germany. I was married to a German citizen. The place to So, during that time, my children were born and raised in Germany until 2014. When my son was a small boy, we used to watch World War II movies. And my son used to always ask us, his German father and his American mother, who were the bad guys. And that was quite interesting. We always gave him the answer that the Germans were not bad guys, but they had bad leaders. And so when my son watched those soldiers in those movies, those American soldiers, at a very, very early age, storming the beaches of Normandy, he understood that they were saving America and the world from tyranny for at least another generation. Fast forward to today, and here we are. The tyranny has come to our shores. That same little boy who watched the soldiers in those movies came to America and signed up to serve in the Army. And about a year ago, he was separated from service because of the tyrannical vaccine mandate that they implemented. So we are now in a situation in this country where we are fighting like the enemy, like we did it, much like we did it in World War II. The problem is this enemy is not wearing a discernible uniform because this enemy is evil in high places. And it's talked about in the Bible. We knew it would happen. I just think most of us in this room didn't know or think that it would happen in our lifetime. So here we are in a situation where we have got to do something. And I know all of you at one time in the last 3 years have probably asked yourselves, what do I do? What do I do? I asked myself the same question. I was at the Capitol, our nation's Capitol, on January 6th. And, you know, that's maybe a target, I'm certain. They're still shaking out people that attended that day. But what I decided to do is to get very involved in the political spectrum by going to the Capitol every single day when the legislature was in session and listening to our lawmakers and watching and reading the proposed legislation upon which they were voting. And really realizing that those conservative lawmakers that we elected to represent us in the way that we think that they would, a lot of them were not. We all know that we have rhinos in office. There are none of them in this room today, unfortunately. But we do have a lot of rhinos in office. So we started a group of friends and I started a group called Louisiana Citizens for Election Integrity. And we were working directly with our Secretary of State, personally and privately, and bringing the fraud that we were hiring the national experts to look into for our state. They were already doing the deep dive for the nation, but to look directly at our state. And they came in and they spoke with our Secretary of State, who seemed to be on board. He actually severed ties with ERIC, ERIC. It's a voter roll cleaning system that ostensibly cleans the voter rolls, but actually uses the names to cheat. So fast forward to my dining room on June 23rd of 2022, our Secretary of State sat with Dr. Douglas Frank, who is a Nobel laureate nominee, a cyber data analyst. He's been doing election data for the last 40 years. And Dr. Frank showed our Secretary of State the fraud in our state and asked for our Secretary of State's permission to have a white hat hacker attempt to hack into our election management system in real time. Our Secretary granted permission and the hacker was successful in 3 minutes. Our Secretary said, oh my goodness, I guess that's what I needed to hear. After which time he went on the campaign trail and started talking about there's no fraud in Louisiana. Only the swing states have fraud, even though they have the same machines as we. Right? That's like saying Ford would call the F-150, but not in Louisiana. So I told that story at a Republican women's meeting. I was the fundraising chair last year of the LFRW. And I told that story at our convention because there was a lady who wanted to have she put out a table to keep the machines, a petition. She wanted everybody to sign to keep the machine. So another lady asked me to please inform the group. So I did, and after that, I became target number 1. A letter went out from the newly elected president threatening all of the membership in the state that if I or anyone from my group, and my group consisted of mainly Dr. Randy Russ, who is the former CEO of Community Coffee, and Mr. John Scanlon, who is the former CEO of ETAL. We three formulated the election integrity committee. And Dr. Randy Russ, who is a very measured, very logical speaker, only, nothing but the facts, ma'am, that's his presentation. If Ms. Dyer, the newly elected president of the LFRW, had ever heard Randy Russ's presentation, she would have never said that it slandered our Secretary of State with propaganda. So my meeting in January, I was the vice president of the East Baton Rouge Republic of Women. I was held out of my meeting by police force. This is in Louisiana. This is communist China and Gestapo Germany tactics. 3 captains and 2 lieutenants of the Sheriff's Department of East Baton Rouge held me out in Katie Alexander of our meeting in January. So because of that censorship, and why were we held out? Because we had information that was dangerous. But because of that censorship, I decided that I needed to form a new organization to not censor the voices of citizens. And so that was Louisiana Conservatives. We are going to be, I'm supposed to wrap it up, I know I'm going over time. We're going to become the LRA, the Louisiana Republican Assemblies, because some of you know, that is a national organization, and we will have states in all of the nation that are part of the National Republican Assemblies. We will recruit and train candidates to run for office, conservative, real true conservative candidates. And we will invite them to come to us and speak, and they will answer the questions that our membership poses. And it will be a cheerleading session. It won't be a photo op. It's going to be really enacting legislation, writing legislation, getting it approved and getting it through, and changing our state to take back the power. Thereby taking back the power at a national level, because it was never supposed to look the way it is today. Our founding fathers never envisioned this. There was supposed to be a bottom-up system, not a top-down. The government is way too strong right now. So I hope that all of you will consider joining the Louisiana Republican Assemblies. If you look at the Florida Republican Assemblies, they just went viral quite recently for a resolution that they wrote asking Ron DeSantis to step down from the presidential race and to stay in his lane and continue to govern the state of Florida, which he had pledged to do, right? And another thing they did, the GOP in Florida, factions of that GOP, had said that they were going to keep Trump off of the ballot. And the FRA, the Florida Republican Assembly, said, you can try to do that, but if you do, we'll see. So we're going to join them, and I think we'll be a very powerful group, and we'll have a loud voice. Thank you so much. If you want to sign up to get the information, if you're not on Louisiana Conservatives mailer, I've got a sheet. Give us your email and we'll keep you abreast. Okay, thank you so much. God bless you.
Okay, so you understand there's a reason why I wanted you to understand that, we've been praying for 2 years for a state umbrella, and we've been praying for 2 years for a national umbrella. When we were removed from the Louisiana Federation of Republican Women, we were, set aside, but there are other clubs that don't have that umbrella. And I just have been praying about it. And so recently, starting Louisiana Conservatives, we strongly feel like the Lord led her to the National Republican Assembly. And they start, like she said, it's God first. And so, and then they follow the Constitution. Oh, wow. And, so it fit right in with what we believe in. And so it's interesting how God already established the national when we were removed, and he just needed to connect you to them to connect us to you to them. And so we're going into 2024 having, I think we'll discuss, there'll be 6 districts. Will either be District 1 or 2, probably, maybe in the beginning will be both, 1 and 2, which is New Orleans and Jefferson. And so, I think that's what we'll do in the beginning, will be 1 and 2, because we have a lot of people that come here that live here, and we have a lot of people that come here that live in New Orleans. And those 2 districts are 1 and 2. So then, we'll have 4 more districts to fill, which I believe they already are. And so she'll convert Louisiana conservatives to Louisiana Assembly, Republican assemblies. And so we're all doing it together. And so that's how we're going into 2024 with a new umbrella, and the group is going to expand. And we're going to have a lot of ultra mega conservatives. So with that, real quick, I wanted to introduce some guests of ours that came in from Guatemala. Would you please stand? This is Tim Martini and his wife, Shirley Martini. It's all the way from Guatemala. That's where we had the marimbas playing. And they are with a ministry called Cara Niños. And Dr. Little, Robert Little, who opened the prayer, he's on their executive board. And so they have an orphanage out there, and they've been out there 21 years. And I've had the pleasure and the blessing to visit them on 2 different occasions. And it is, God has his hand on them. And so if you want any further information, you can either go to Juliet, and you can go to, or myself, and you can go directly to them. They are here accepting some donations, so if you want to bless them, please do so. All right, hold on, let me get my paper. All right, so let's introduce Lieutenant Billy Nungesser. He is called the hardest working man in America by one national media outlet for his work to protect the citizens he represented, and we all concur, sir. You definitely represent the citizens of Louisiana, and that's why you're so loved. Billy Nungesser has worked tirelessly to defend his community and fight to rescue and restore the Gulf Coast in the wake of the deep Arizona oil spill. Another national news organization described him as a true son of Louisiana, having grown up in the state's holy trinity of seafood, oil, and politics. So true. Billy, I went on your website and I saw that there were 65 recognized awards given to him since 2001. I don't know, it's been a while, 2011, all the way till now. So there's plenty more, I'm sure, but they're fun. You can go to billynungesser.com and you can read those recognized awards yourself. Without further ado, let's bring up Lieutenant
Thank you for being with us today. Thank you. So many people showing out with this weather. Thank y'all. Well, listen, I thought I'd run through some of the things we're doing in tourism quickly, and then really I want to hear from you. I want to take any questions. Don't embarrass me, but I want to answer any questions and hopefully talk a little politics. Every year coming out of COVID, during COVID, we get together every week. We'd be on Zoom, and we would talk about what are we going to do coming out of COVID, because we're competing against every state for the same tourism dollars. Mississippi tripled their budget, Florida doubled it. We knew states were going to spend a lot of money. So we thought about it. So what do we do better than anyone? Well, we cooperate. Mardi Gras. So we looked around the country and said, where else do they have parades? Well, New York, well, Macy's parade. Well, the naysayers said, Billy, they really don't let states put a float there. It's big corporations. So let's give it a try. So we went out there and met with them, signed a 3-year deal. Well, they first sent us a float. And I said, look, we build floats. We're not putting a float in that. We need a ball back. So we went back and forth for 3 months. Excuse me. Finally, we got the longest float ever to crawl down the streets of New York. Blowing container out of its mouth. The other condition was that we had to put a Louisiana ambassador on it. Each year had to be a Louisiana musician. We won that battle. John Batiste the first year. This year, Amanda Shaw and Alex Smith, they're up and coming from Alexandria. But we always want to give our locals that national exposure. And I'll tell you, if you ever get a chance to go to the parade, the week leading up to the parade, I was there the first year, and we're in Town Square, and every 23 minutes, all the screens go by, and an alligator eye appears, and it starts looking around, and people are pointing, and then it zooms out and says, "Get ready, New York, Louisiana's coming." And then it has a commercial about Louisiana to float. Here's a little video from this year. Take a look.
The 97th annual Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade was an ideal venue for Louisiana's Office of Tourism to show off what makes Louisiana so special.
What makes this so different is that I feel like we come from a parade culture. We have Mardi Gras, but this is America's parade. This is Thanksgiving Day where we're giving thanks for all the wonderful things that we have in our lives.
This thing is such an amazing one. So to be a part of this, to have my name be associated with this, for all the things on the national stage that's going on with the parade of this size, it's just an incredible honor. Yeah, thanks to Louisiana, thanks to Billy, thanks to everybody involved in allowing me to be a part of this thing. I wish I could see Louisiana's fun.
Louisiana's float and musicians Alex Smith and Amanda Shaw were the highlight of the parade. At least for everyone back home in Louisiana, and many are the members who watch this parade in person and on television.
So our first year, it went over so big, we signed a 3-year deal. We're in the 3rd year. And of course, it was $1.3 million. And the first year, I was like, you're never going to get your return on investment. For the first year, we got over $26 billion in ad value. So we knocked it out the park. It worked so well, we went out to California. Rose Parade, same thing. Big corporations never had a state. The first year, we put first responders a teacher of the year. Last year, my idea, only good idea I had, was to put fair and festival queens from all over the state, and they were at the den every morning, 5 a.m., giving interviews to stations all over the world, talking about the blue man, the crawfish, all the things they represent. They made me so proud. It was a big river boat to highlight the river cruises upriver. I was the captain of the boat, but I will never ride again because it's miserable watching all these people filming, but you can't throw nothing. And they sleep out on the sidewalk all night to get a good position. I don't get it. Each year we appeal like this just for a little bit. You hadn't won that battle yet. But this is the float we built. This year's theme is music, the universal language. So we partner with our convention bureaus around the state. They each pick a musician to ride and perform. Amanda Shaw will be in this parade as well. But they've got some real legends riding on the float. And this is where we are so far. Look, if you want to make a trip with life, it's not too late. You come out the week after Christmas. We put 135,000 roses, orchids, weeds, things I can't pronounce on that float. All volunteers in 3 days. People bring their kids, grandkids. They get to mix up all of the coconut. Everything on the float has to be covered. And I'll tell you, when you get there and you see the roses, orchids, thousands of flowers from all over the world, it's breathtaking. It was one of the best trips of my life. We right now have 111 Louisiana signed up to come up. Go to the website. We shuttle you back and forth. And we found a little old lady in Pasadena. And it's a song, but it's a true story. She's from New Orleans. She owns a beignet truck in Pasadena. So we hire her every morning from 5 a.m. to now. We have hot beignets for everybody, decorating all the floats. And then we have a seafood lunch with Louisiana seafood. And then I tell you what, Lainey Wilson last year stole the show. The day of rehearsal, everybody from every den was there to watch her rehearse. And then she got more airtime. As a matter of fact, the performance she put on was so well done and so well covered that the last 3 floats got cut off because of TV time. Didn't even make it on the parade. So Louisiana Cheerleader, this is the float being built this year. The theme is for us is Mardi Gras, because the theme is music, the universal language. So our musicians will be playing a lot of Mardi Gras music. Mardi Gras. Take a look. They work pretty quick. And that's what it's gonna look like. So, by the time we get out there next Christmas, I'll have 3 days, to put all those flowers, because, they gotta be fresh. And then on the last day, there's a rehearsal, and the inspectors come by and inspect, and they have magnifying glasses to make sure every part of that road is covered. We take crushed coconut, hang it over the steel. Incredible. It's just, it's a trip everybody should make. Now, coming out of COVID, we had 5 record-breaking years of tourism before COVID. In 2019, over 53 million people visited Louisiana, and they left behind 1.9 billion taxes. That's over $1,100 for a Louisiana family you and I have to pay. Now, we knew we were competing against all of these states. We had to up our game. Last year, we saw a little over 44 million, actually 10 million more than we projected, because if you remember last year, the airlines were not back. Still, people were staying home. Not everybody was traveling. But I think when we get the numbers for 2023, we'll be really close to setting a new record. But next year, for sure, we surely will. One of the things we do really good, our team, is we look at the market and what's going on, what are people doing. We know they bought RVs, outdoor equipment, record numbers during COVID. And so we changed our website from travellouisiana.com to explore. People want to get outdoors, explore, see some things new. Another thing we realized from the people that have visited here and from the people that live here, we wanted to tell it from Louisianans. What is your Louisiana? Some people it's a backyard crawfish balls, some people it's Mardi Gras. So we went around the state and we took feedback from people that have been here. And what would make you come back? And we're putting that in these videos that are going social. It's really knocked it out the park. People are sharing them, and it's from every part of the state. Unique things to do in Louisiana. Take a look.
In my Louisiana, the day starts at 4 a.m. Celebration.
Yeah, but the hottest I think of in my Louisiana is literally the best. One, you have to come to the beignets. Seeing history as it really happened, that's the best part of my Louisiana.
So we really getting a lot of feedback. People posting with their Louisiana sharing videos all over the country. So it's really working well. We get a lot of free sharing of this, and we're going to continue to do these videos, pushing them on social media, and get people excited about coming here. One of the things we're really excited about, and we've worked on it very hard for the 5 years prior to COVID, is the international market. They stay longer, they spend more money, and they don't just see one city. They want to get off the beaten path and see where Louisianans live, their way of life, the small community. And one thing we did is we made sure we promote Mardi Gras all over Louisiana. Family friendly, safe, affordable Mardi Gras in every corner of the state. We've seen double-digit improvement in places like Shreveport, where people fly into Dallas, rent a car, and go to Shreveport to watch them throw those hot dogs from Japan. We had people in Homer Morgan City from Australia last year. So we continue to push the international market to all those fairs and festivals all over the state and to Mardi Gras. And I'll tell you, usually big states get grants from the International Commerce Department to bring visitors to America. For the first time ever this year, because of our increase in international business over the last years before COVID, we were picked to receive a $300,000 year grant for the next 3 years to go to 3 new markets we've never been to. So we have to pick, go to Europe, go to Canada. We only have so much money to go so many places. Well, now we're going to Spain, Italy, India, that we've never been to, courtesy of a $300,000 a year grant. So we're going to open our doors to the world, to those 3 new markets over the next 3 years. Great opportunity to spread the international market around the world. Now we know sports tourism is big, and our Super Bowl's here next year. But we're not waiting. We went out to Vegas and we scouted out a few spots. And the big game might be here in Vegas, but the party's always in Louisiana. We'll see you next year. I got a call from Lieutenant Governor. What are you trying to do? Steal our thunder? So he took a picture of one by the airport and sent it to me. We'll be out there this year with a seafood party and some jazz music, just to get people excited about Louisiana, whether they come to the Super Bowl or not. Another thing we're doing is we put a team together that travels the country, bringing sporting events. Not, we do the Super Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, the big events, but we're now hosting events all over the state. We had the Olympic trials for volleyball last year in Shreveport, golf and boxing, Lafayette, Lake Charles. We had the Dizzy Dean World Series in Russia. Over the last 7 years, we've had over 80 hotels built outside of the New Orleans area. And so we're filling up these hotels, these convention centers, because each convention and visit bureau doesn't have a team to go market their city or their town. So we've got a team that goes around the country with the crowd groups and finding out the hotel rate they can afford, what accommodations, meals they need, and we're plugging them in all over Louisiana. And this is the market that is going to continue to grow. As more and more travel teams and youth groups travel, we're seeing these things really change communities on the tourism map. Fairs and festivals. We never give enough credit to the families and volunteers that work all year, no cost to us, to put on these incredible fairs and festivals. What a great tool in our toolbox. States are jealous to have 400 fairs and festivals. Live, into the hill, we never festival. But we never give enough credit to those organizations that work year round. Because on any given weekend, there's 50 things to do anywhere in Louisiana that we get to promote. And coming out of COVID, we committed to promote every fair and festival. The first call we got into COVID was Crouere. And I said, look, if we don't get 150,000 people over 3 days, we're out of business. We've been shut down for 2 years, and we're competing with the French Quarter. And every day here, they spend a half a day on advertising. I said, don't worry, I guarantee you 150,000 people. And I told our social media, do not make me a lie. They bet only one person less. Because we're able to push it out to social media to people that like to go to those events, highlight the performers, and we can tell by how many people, how long they stay on that site, a percentage that's going to go. About 500,000 people that year, the first year of COVID, they shut the interstate down. The best Strawberry Fest ever. So we're pushing those out. I don't care how small the event is. If you've got an event that will bring people in the community, we'll put enough money behind it to make sure it's successful. Because we can't afford for the next 2 or 3 years, people spend their savings, businesses. We got to make sure every event, every community gets it out of the park to get back to those record-breaking numbers that we saw. Another great, that's Julia loved those kids. Beautiful kids. She was the godmother, Christy's boat in Vidalia. This is really a game changer for us. Usually people get on a cruise boat, go out to sea, come back, stay a night, go home. Now we got an opportunity to get them on this boat going upriver, stopping at many sites along the river. So it's a great Vidalia. It's changing the city. You go to that city and you see the restaurant shops. 200-something people get off that boat and spend the day in Vidalia. Incredible opportunity. Now, I'll ask you this. How many people here has been to Poverty Point? Shame on the rest of you. People come from all over the world to that World Heritage Site up in the North. I know it's a long drive. We're struggling to get people. But now with the cruise boats, we just got a deal. 2 boats are going to dock. We want a new tram. And so we have 2 boats a week full, goes in Poverty Point. Now, I know it's a mound of dirt, it's 34,000 years old, so you go there like, now I drove this way. We've been working for 2 years on a wildfire, and we got it. Not only do we have a new facility there for meetings, but we now have a glass that you can put on. You walk out to the site, and you can actually see how they built those mounds 34,000 years ago. So we use the kids at Louisiana Tech, help us come up with something that would excite people when they go there and say, you've got to go back and see this. And through our private-public partnerships, we're going to generate enough money over the next several years to build a new museum there and do some other things. Here's a little video to hopefully get you excited about going there.
No, you're good. Louisiana. You can sign here. Louisiana. At 3,400 years old, this ancient area served as a trading hub and engineering marvel. It's located near Poverty Point State Park. The state park offers fishing, golfing, lodging, and a brand new conference center of 460 people overlooking the golf course. And now, is nearby where buses bring visitors to the Ringside site. For more information, go to LAStateParks.com.
All right, so next year when I come back, I want to see all those hands going. And look, the cabins there over the water, it's really incredible, and they got great fishing in that lake, and it's really affordable. Now, when I took office, Jay Darden told me, look, Billy, I gave me a tour of the office. He said, you got to close 7 state parks. You don't have the money to keep them open. And I said, well, Jay, why didn't you close them? He said, I was going to forget. I wasn't closing them. He said, good luck with figuring where you're going to close. Well, thanks to the great people that work at the state park and our sheriff gave us work release prisoners, we went and bought things to get the bathrooms cleaned up and keep them open. And thanks to the legislators, 2 years ago, I looked at other states, what do they do? Well, they got private-public partnership. So we started that 2 years ago. We've got a mountain bike trail at Nungesser. We've got horseback riding. We make $2 a half day, $4 a whole day for horseback riding. He charges $30 to $50. He's got to feed them. We got people every weekend coming into that park. The mountain bike trail was just named the #2 trail in the country. And Washington Parish always struggles with tourists. You go into town there any weekend, and there's hundreds of bikes on cars, horse trailers. It has changed that parish. Lured people. Last month, I think we had over 1,000 people from 14 different states coming to ride those trails. We want to do those things at every state park. That's not blue. If you want to build 10 cabins there and split 80-20 with us, I want to talk to you. But 2 of the cabins are going to have to be built for special needs. We are going to make all of our parks not only specially accessible, but inviting. We're building the first special needs playground at Fountainwood, and 2 of these cabins will have a special bed with a zipper. I've identified 61 single moms that have a child that can never go on vacation because they need a special bed. So whoever the investor is that builds them will make 2 of those cabins, fit all those needs with a pull-down ramp so they can fish from the pier from a wheelchair. And I'll tell you, we just did this last year, this partnership with Clamping. Everybody in Clamping. So this particular one, you got to take a canoe out to the island by yourself. We have another one they give you bear spray. It's 3 miles back in the woods, and you may cross back. I like the one you can put your car right up next to. But it's a black one with green top, and you bring your sleeping bag, and we've made $500,000 our share of this partnership the first year, and we continue to add sites, and we didn't have to put it down. But people actually go glamping all over the world, so it's bringing people here that stay in our state parks on their trails through American glamping. Now, these track chairs have really is something I'm so proud of. As I looked at private-public partnerships, I saw Georgia had these chairs that you take someone out of a wheelchair, they can go into the woods, out on the beach. We bought one at Fountainwood after getting 6 moms and one dad calling me saying it changed their child's life to go in the woods and see the deer. We just took the little 11 more. And we're putting them in all the state parks and it doesn't cost you a penny. We have donations to bodies. You reserve them 24 hours out. They give you the instructions and give you a little training. If your child can't work the joystick, attach it, stand behind them and work it. But we're going to keep adding these until we don't have anybody waiting to use them. But to see the moms that called me, what it's done for those kids has been incredible. So if you know someone, please tell them to go to the website, reserve it. It's been a game changer for those people in the wheelchair. Now, Seafood Promotion Board, you've seen all over the news about shrimp prices and imports flooding the market. We're going to be asking the legislature to move all the fine money from wildlife fishery to my office. They've collected over $30 million, not one penny made to the fishermen. So they got enough to do. Give us that money. We know how to help the fishermen. The Seafood Board is made up of fishermen. And then Health and Hospital, there were 2,300 violations of mislabeling seafood. Not one of them has been fined. So we're going to put some new fines in place and ask the legislature to give me that money from Health and Hospital. We will inspect them and fine them. What they're doing is they're taking import seafood, putting in a package that says Boudreaux seafood. You don't even know you're eating imports. And much of the import is grown antibiotics and human waste, and we inspect less than 5%. Now, I got the Lieutenant Governors Association, and I'll be in Puerto Rico next week, the Lieutenant Governors Conference, to re-up the commitment from all the Lieutenant Governors to support legislation to add 5 to 10 cents a pound inspection fee to imported seafood. That will allow us to hire over 1,000 inspectors and inspect that from less than 5% to over 50%. They'll reject a lot more. We'll make it safer, and we'll give our fishermen a fair fight against the imports. Now, I won't go into a long discussion with this, but I ask you to educate yourself. We're going to be coming out with a video. It's our last shot to kill this diversion on the river. This diversion was created by the general way back when he came up with this 50-year plan with a couple scientists from California. I was on the conference call. And their idea was we got to open up the river like it was 1,000 years ago. And I said, well, excuse me, why don't we dredge? Well, we might not have fuel in 50 years. That's the scientists from California. Well, that's a good reason to dredge now. This diversion cannot lower stones for 20. If it does build land, it's below the water. But what you don't know is at 11 o'clock on a Friday night, they got a waiver of the Marine Mammal. Never been done before. And we're out drinking, having a good time on Friday nights. Nobody's watching time. They got a waiver. Instead of studying what this diversion is do our seafood and the fisheries, they're going to mine for 5 years after they spend $3 billion. Now, when you want to know up front the damage you're going to do? And when I asked Chip Klein that, he says, well, if we did the study, we probably couldn't build it. Well, maybe we should. Why are we building? Is it because we've already given them $300 million in contract consultants? Tell me one positive benefit. If we lease the dredge today, started pumping regions and islands that are certified to low stone service, we get lower stones every year to our coast. And every year your insurance would go down, the coast would become livable, and even businesses looking at moving it. Well, look, if they're building these bridges and these islands, if we don't have hurricanes for 3 years, we're going to be better protected. But the dredge companies don't do this. You bid it out, you get the best price, and they just go and build land. It's our last effort to tell our legislators, stop it. You know, when I sat next to Garrett at a thing the other day, and people say, well, you can't stop it, they already spent $300 billion. Why don't we ever admit when we make mistakes? Because we spent $300 million, we're going to spend another $3 billion? It's absurd. Now, I don't know about you, but we keep talking about this 50-year coastal plan. Do you think we got 50 years to save the coast? In 50 years, we're going to have the Grand Isle Fishing Road in Baton Rouge. We better rethink this with a 3 to 5 year plan. So I want to miss it. Last year, they took $17 million out of budget because I posted a study that was done by the Marine Mammal Commission in Washington through St. Andrew Institute that said, if we build this diversion, Dolphins will be extinct in the Gulf within 50 years. It will kill 50% in the first 5 years. Now, the politicians that want this, that evidently have some of these consulting contracts or whatever, they'll tell you, oh, the Dolphins will swim away. They will not. You're not leaving your house territory. Where they breed, where they stay, that's where they live. That's why you see them washed up with sores all over their body, die a horrible death. When we opened the spillway in 2019, we killed more dolphins than the oil spill for that short period of time. And they keep telling you it's a freshwater diversion. It's not. It is the second most polluted river in the country. It is polluted water, and it will kill everything. You heard that saying, the dolphins can enter the coal mine? If the canary dies, get out. They call the dolphin the canary coal mine. It is the smartest animal in the Gulf. When it dies, everything below it. Trout, redfish. You'll have a few bass that live in that polluted, but you will lose our fisheries, our oysters, our crabs, our shrimp. And now they say, well, we'll give the shrimp is 25 million to refrigeration to go further out. Well, anybody knows the shrimp grow in the basin when they mature, they go offshore. You kill them there will be none offshore. This is the biggest flood ever pulled over Louisiana. And I was even offered back when I was running for governor. I got a call from our past senator, Marylander, and offered to raise me $4 million for governor if I changed my mind on the diversion. So Mary, I'm not for sale. Well, I did a public request. This was in the second year of President Obama. Our firm had been paid over $8 million in consulting fees from CPI. If it's the right thing to do, why do we got to change the law, skip hooks, do things, and close doors to try to ram this down our throat? The people that are getting rich off of this are the ones in charge. And I just hope the new governor and the new head of CPRA, I'm going to the board meeting in 2 weeks. I haven't been back in 6 months because I lose my cool there and I get myself in trouble. But I'm hoping now that we can bring enough light to this. We can stop it and spend that money to really save our coast. Now, here's a little thing I ask y'all before you guys eat. Ask before you eat, demand Louisiana secrets. Take a look.
Louisiana seafood is the best because it's fresh out the Gulf and it's that love and passion that goes in preparing. This is something that is taught through generations. No, this is what we are taught to do. This is what we love to do. You know, we feed America, we feed the state of Louisiana. We just want to make sure that this thing's around for generations to go. We all need to get involved if we're going to save our seafood industry. Ask before you eat. The man in Louisiana seafood.
So we're really starting to make some waves with this. I want to rest and say, no, I'll take the steak if you don't have Louisiana seafood. So it's really helping us. Our last thing I want to talk about is litter. 2 years ago, I got the legislature to move keep Louisiana beautiful in my office, and we set out on a mission to clean up Louisiana. The bad news is we got a very dirty state. The good news is we've made a lot of progress. When we took this over, that year they had about 40 groups that cleaned up Louisiana Mud Week. This last year, 587 groups for the first time ever in 64 parishes, 116 schools, 14 universities, 70 faith-based groups, and many other civic groups cleaned up Louisiana during that week. The largest cleanup ever, and we're just getting started. I went to DOTD and I said, let me see your contracts to clean up litter on the highway. Sean Wilson at the time told me it doesn't matter, people don't litter. Okay, let me see the contract. Well, out of several of the contractors I interviewed, several of them admitted we don't pick up garbage. So it says here you got to pick it up 6 times a year. We just cut the grass. And then several of them, they get paid to cut the grass 6 times a year, only cut it 4. Nobody checks. So I'm asking the legislature to give me that money. We will give out the contracts to local government. If they don't want to do it with a local contractor, then the local parish president will make sure, the mayor will make sure they do their job. And we'll clean up Louisiana. We partnered with the DARE program, give out 50,000 bags this year. When they teach about drugs, teach about litter in the school. I ask every elected official to go speak in the schools. I tell kids, you don't want to tell your parents they litter, you're going to call Lieutenant Governor. I had a few moms call me up and said, did you tell my son to call you? I said, yes, ma'am, I did. So I just want to make sure we're lying to me. And this is something we all can get involved in. We just set up at the libraries. You can go in with your library card and check out those tones in a basket. We'll give you garbage bags. Take your family out and pick up garbage one Saturday. And if they litter, I promise they won't litter again. I took my whole neighborhood out on the highway by my house. And a couple of them admitted me, you know, I used to throw a cup out here and there. Never again. Because it's unbelievable the limits out. We're giving out grants for garbage cans. We just bought 8 vans for 8 sheriffs. After interviewing the sheriffs, the reason they quit picking up garbage, they didn't know where to transport. What do you need? We need a van. So now 8 sheriffs out there twice a week picking up garbage for police. There's nothing we won't do until we clean up the state. And we can do it. We hired a litter expert. Yes, there is a litter expert. And we brought in the people from Tennessee, Texas, Alabama, and see how they fund it. And I'm going to be asking the legislature for a little bit more money this year. But the little bit of money I'm going to get will save us 50 times that. We spent in our litter analysis, I hate the word study, last year we spent over $100 million cleaning up litter statewide. Tire dumps, trash dumps, waterways. We can do it for 1/10 of that if we spend the money on the front end properly. And then we're also going to get the litter laws in line, and we are setting up litter court with the justice of peace. We do not want to tie up the criminal courts, so the justice of peace will issue you a ticket. And we're going to have it where if you see someone litter, take a picture of the license plate, you go online and sign an affidavit, they're going to get a ticket in the mail for $250. Now, if they want to go to litter court and fight it, and if you don't show up, they're probably going to get out. But if you do it at St. Tammany and Steve Slayton sees you, he's going to be there. He shows up at every year and says, yep, that's Slayton living. You got to pay the ticket, man. So you get a ticket, you pick up litter one day, you're 90% less likely to litter. And less than 20% of the people actually litter. So with Seagrave, I was in Slidell this morning. That was one of the worst stretches of highway. We've picked it up about 6 times with volunteers this year, and I was really impressed. It's not perfect, but it is a lot better than it was. And we're going to get this done. So I appreciate your help with that. I think we got a little commercial. We're doing these in every parish just to keep it in front of everyone. And my wife gets mad at me. I go to Walmart, I look in the back of the pickup truck and see trash, I pull out a little note. She's going to get shot. So look, this is Lieutenant Governor. Please pick up the truck, Dad. One truck at a time. Take a look.
We keep ourselves clean. And we should get our own. We need every person, every touch to stop littering and let Louisiana shine.
Thank you all for having me. I have a couple of minutes to answer questions. Yes, sir. Embarrassing. He always has to talk.
So, Billy, I heard you had me about the commercial for Orleans Parish.
Yeah, we're winning them, bro. So,
It's my word. It's my word. We talked about it, but shut up. We're gonna have the World Fair on January 2025. We got a city that's got lots of trash, lots of light, all these problems. And push it, try to make that part of your office.
so what I did, we made that proposal and got shot down. And I committed that I'd be in the front for 3 nights a week until it was clean, safe. I'll tell you what we did do. On our plan, we were going to put a bank of cameras in the headquarters. We did get 200 street cameras and 200 street lights donated by AT&T that have been installed. We're going to fix every street light. And if it is moved as a historical district on miles, I'll put a park range on every corner, and I promise it will be safe. Now, what we did offer the mayor, be part of this partnership, that I was going to put up $250,000 and have some people in the best Louisiana features, so we call them friendly officers. They do it in Nashville. They got a radio, and they see something about to happen, they can report it. Same thing with the bank accounts. You can watch, and you can see when trouble's going to happen. we don't react to 6 people get shot. I'm concerned because if we started today, and I told Jeff, Boise Bonds, I met, I gave him the whole plans for Jeff's team. I said, I'll do whatever you want me to do. If you want me to stay down there, I opened an office in the back of the Cabildo. As a matter of fact, they haven't announced it yet. I think it's kind of leaked out. We cleaned out the Cabildo office and let the state police move it in through Mardi Gras. Jeff is committed to do some of that, but I think it needs to be, the city's got to do their part. And so if you can't embarrass them to doing it, you got to take it away from them. So whatever the governor wants to do, I'm going to support. And if it's put it under, I don't need nothing else to do, but I'll gladly take it. I promise you, if it comes under my office, it'll be clean and safe within 6 months, whatever it takes. Failure is not an option. I don't know anything short of that if we can actually get it fixed and cleaned up. And I told Boise this, a lot of people don't realize this. The Sewage and Water Board is a state agency. They got $1 billion they expect for Katrina. And every few years, our senators have to fight like hell to extend the deadline if we don't lose that money back. One day it's not going to work. We're going to lose that money. So why not take it away from the city, go fix everything, and put a management team to oversee it. In the French Quarter, I'm going to take over and handle getting the streets fixed. We patched the one street from the museum to Canal Street 4,300 times. And you see, because some friends got that contract. If we tore it up and resurfaced it right, and we could do it for less money if we did it right. But we patch it where you can't cross the street by falling in the gutter. So we know the problems. You just got to have the will and the work ethic to get it done. So hopefully, I think the governor can put enough pressure on the city to do anything he wants, because the DA, a lot of people on this, is the only DA in the state that gets state money. Most of them work out of their own fund. He gets $500 million. We pay his salary. You don't keep those thugs in jail, you don't get paid. That's my opinion. Yes, ma'am. No, it's under the Convention Center and New Orleans and Company. But go ahead and ask me. I may know what you're asking. Well, let me tell you, the conventions come here because it's a great city. The problem right now is, when I got elected, I get about 60-40, love the city, love the people. I get nothing but negative calls, emails, texts, letters. They're never coming back. I don't say that on the radio because we try, that doesn't help us. But I'm concerned if we don't turn it around, it may be too late. But I'm optimistic that we got a short period of time to turn it around. But it ought to be like Nashville. It ought to be beautiful, clean, safe. There's about 5 bars in the French Quarter that need to be shut down. They're selling dope. Everybody's got a gun, and they don't attract nothing but thugs. And we've got to get ATF to shut it down. And so I hope the new governor will push that and get that done. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Well, if you tell them, and I'll check on it, let me tell you, we set up a portal, and most of the tourism groups know this. You can go on that portal and log your event in, and then we share it with the world. And then we put a little money behind it in the region to drive people there. Just like we did the strawberry. But one of the things we push for the holidays, stay home for the holidays. Bring your family in town. Boat show, the Christmas parades, the holiday lights. We've got them all over the state now, and we try to put them all through our website. But I'll make sure we promote that. Wow. Oh, that's good. You know, auction that off. That's good. Thank you. So, well, they did bring it back. Let me tell you what happened. We lost it for 1 year and everybody left. I did a study that, look, we got some good conservative Republicans, and it's hard to argue dollar for dollar. Is it worth it? I think it is. But to get those people in Baton Rouge comfortably voting for it, that year we lost it. I did a study because I wanted to know. Because I have people sitting there, I came there, I saw NCIS on TV, or I went with Bonnie and Clyde was shot. So I wanted to know what is the value of the film industry to tourists. So I did the study, and it showed 9% of everyone that comes to Louisiana is heavily influenced by a TV show or a movie. That's equivalent to about $1.8 billion. So when I gave that study to my friends in the legislature who had a hard time giving away their tax money, it made it an easy sell. Not only did we get it back, we just renewed it for 5 years. And the reason you want it for 5 years, not year to year, TV shows aren't coming in for 1 year. It takes about 8 months to shoot a pilot, you gotta get it. So if it's year to year, you can lose it. Why come shoot Louisiana? Since we renewed it for 5 years, we've got those people looking now at doing TV shows here that'll be long-term commitment. And let me tell you, I believe the cap works because every year we got 250 million. If you don't get it this year, you can apply next year. So it doesn't run us broke. Georgia has unlimited. The Lieutenant Governor of Georgia said, "Gonna get ready," because just like anything, when it goes too far, it goes away, like it did in Louisiana. See, we didn't have a cap, and when they saw what it cost the state, they got rid of it. So having a limit's good. Georgia has no limit; it's costing them billions. One day, coming soon, they say, "Wow, we can't afford this anymore." When they shut down, we'll get everybody back, and we'll be ready. Thank you guys so much. Yes, yes, yes.
All right, let's welcome Jeff Crouere is a popular political analysis, columnist, and radio and television personality. Since January of 1999, he's been the host of Ringside Politics, an award-winning radio program in New Orleans dedicated to examining the top issues of the day on local, state, and national and international levels. The radio show airs weekdays from 7 to 11 a.m. on WGSO 99 a.m. WGSO.com, and the Nungesser radio app. Let's welcome Jeff Crouere.
Martha. Is Billy Nungesser not the hardest working? I'm exhausted after this. You know, I actually discovered something. I found out what the name Biden stands for. Biggest idiot Democrats ever nominated. Biden's actually in States yesterday. You saw that, right? Confusion, unconsciousness, and disorganization. But yesterday he did refer to President Trump as Congress. I'll see that. And I have figured out the one trait that Joe Biden and Jeffrey Epstein, either one can complete a sentence. And I don't know if you saw that Marsha Blackburn is a great senator. Had tried to get her hands on the Epstein flight records. And a Democrat senator blocked the effort. So my question is, what do they hide? What does this Democrat senator hide? So let's talk a little bit about the parties. I know we have limited time. Maybe I have a question too. Today, George Santos was expelled from Congress. Now, many of you all might think that's a good thing. I myself do not think it's a good thing. He was a scoundrel. He had all kinds of ethical issues. He had all kinds of problems. but he wasn't convicted of anything. Okay? Robert Menendez, on the Senate side, has a massive investigation going on, all their charges. Has even kicked out of the Senate. Jamal Goldman pulled down the fire alarm, lied about it multiple times, disrupted a congressional proceeding. Nothing has happened to him. So this is what Republicans always do. They set themselves up as having these high standards. And what do Democrats do? They don't follow them. They play by a whole different set of rules. We always play wiffle ball, they play hard ball. Okay? Reminds me of the time that Bob Livingston went before Congress and said, you know, I've had this affair and I'm resigning. I want Bill Clinton to join me. He's had all these chances to resign with me. Bill Clinton laughed. So Republicans have got a major problem, okay? They do not handle their business the same way as Democrats. They get rolled by the Democrats. And here's another example. Ron McDaniel. Do you think the Democrats would keep someone in charge of their party who has lost 5 straight elections? And whose uncle is Mitt Romney? Who, by the way, the other day said that he would prefer to support Joe Biden than Donald Trump. That's what Mitt Romney said. And his piece is having the Republican Party, and we wonder why we have problems. Now, they've only got $9.1 million in the bank. That is nothing. You've got presidential candidates that have a lot more. And we're going into an election cycle. And folks, this is the most important election in American history, is it not? The 2024 election is the most important election in American history. The future of not only our country, but literally the world is at stake. And what has the Republican Party done to secure the election of 2024? Ron McDaniel is supposedly the chair of this party, right? And is leading the effort to secure election. Zero has been done. So we're going into the election with a leader who has a history of losing elections and without any of the basics that have been done to secure the election. Now, you can look back at 2020 and say the machines weren't corrupt, but you certainly can't say that Google didn't manipulate the votes. You can't say they didn't lie about the Hunter Biden laptop. You can't say that there weren't problems with the drop boxes. And I'm sure y'all saw the movie 2000 Mules, didn't you? All the different ways that election was tampered with. And I don't see anything that we have done to make sure that that doesn't happen to us again in 2024. In our last election here in Louisiana, we had a candidate who was running on a platform of paper ballots, day of voting, hand counted, voter ID, everything that Donald Trump is for. He got 6% of the vote. The person that won, Nancy Landry, might be a nice lady. I invited her on my program 2 dozen times. She never came on. Billy Nungesser will come on every time. Liz Merle came on every time. Jeff Landry comes on regularly. John Fleming comes on regularly. All the ones come on regularly. She didn't. My thinking is she didn't because I gave Kyle Larchwan a hard time about buying Dominion voting machines. Because he wanted to put out a $100 million contract to buy Dominion voting machines. And she was his first assistant. She said the other day, we need new voting machines. So are we going to have another situation where it's tailored for one company? This is a big concern in Louisiana. Are y'all following what's going on in Cattle Parish? Okay. There's an election there where the difference is 1 vote. And the problem is that they can't do a recount because there's no paper trail. There's no information that they can check except the absentee ballot, which are only 17% of the total number of votes. So 83% of the votes they can't check. they can only count 17%. And I talked to someone who said there's going to be another election. They had 10 people voting. You had people voting multiple times. You had people voting who shouldn't have voted. But just imagine that's that one little area what the problems are going on statewide. I know that in New Orleans, we've got about 80,000 people on the voter rolls that should not be on. And this was determined by the folks who did the recount. And I don't see anything that Kyle Largemont, or really frankly, the Attorney General or anybody that's done that. So we're going into an election here with all the meeting voting machine and horrible voter rolls. And this is really going on across the country. So what I'm trying to do is send a alarm on this because this is a massive problem. They're going to steal it again. There's no doubt in my mind that they stole 2020. Y'all might think I'm crazy. Does anybody here agree with me on that? Okay. Now, I know I get a lot of heat for saying that, and get censored for saying that. But I'm also going to tell you right now, the Republican Party is making a mistake continuing with these debates. We should be getting behind our leading candidate right now, Donald Trump. That's my view. He is at 62%. The other candidate, if they're battling for second place, they're like Nikki Haley and surging. She surged from 9 to 10%. Surging. And they want desperately to give it to Nikki Haley or to Ron DeSantis. They do not want Donald Trump. We're talking about the money man, we're talking about the party, and we're talking about the people in the media. Fox News promoted the debate with Ron DeSantis and Gavin Newsom for weeks. And they're promoting it now. It's a way to hurt Donald Trump. So my candidate is Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump is bipolar. Can we just spend a second just looking at what he did as president? Y'all remember something called peace and prosperity? When he was president, we had a secure border. We dealt with it. When he was president, we had 1.4% inflation, and we had mortgage rates about 2.65% when he left office. Now the mortgage rates are over 8%. I'm sure y'all have friends that are trying to buy a home, family members trying to buy a home. The American dream is out of reach for some of the young couples. And inflation is eating people's paychecks. They're going into their savings. They're putting more on their credit card. That's called Bidenomics. That's what he keeps running on, Bidenomics. Bidenomics is putting people on the poorhouse. Bidenomics is putting people more on the streets. Bidenomics is destroying our economy, and that was given to him by Donald Trump. So Trump, in my opinion, succeeded internationally, succeeded at home, succeeded with our border, and I think a lot of people, including African Americans, are looking at what Biden has done, what Trump did, and I think they're going with Trump. A Black Lives Matter leader the other day endorsed it. And I see more of that happening. I really do. And I think Donald Trump is the candidate by far that can win this election. I don't think these other ones can. And I want us to get behind him because he is facing 4 criminal trials, 2 civil trials, 4 lawsuits to try to keep him off of the ballots because of an insurrection. All of this nonsense going on, and he's facing the problems within his own party, of the party spending money against him, his candidates running against him. So, my opinion, he's a candidate that we need to get behind. Locally, I just wanted to pass on something that we've been covering. Did y'all see where LaToya Cantrell said the only reason they're really going after her is because she's Black? Now, I don't know about you, but I think she'd do a much better job as mayor if she stayed in New Orleans a little more. Do y'all know she's in Dubai?
Yeah.
Has she ever not made one of these climate change conferences? I mean, is there a climate change conference that's been hell that she has not gone to? I don't think so. She is, of course, focusing on 20, they're called the 2040 plan, called, what they're trying to do with the Great Reset, of course, green energy. And I would say the people in New Orleans are a little bit more concerned about murder, about the bad economy, about the bad streets, about the flights, as opposed to worried about climate change. Would y'all agree with me?
Yeah. Yes.
So she's got, unfortunately, 2 more years, and I hope, as Billy said, we can get cooperation and change in New Orleans. Because as much as we want to promote all these other parishes, New Orleans is still the economic hub of Louisiana. People still come here for New Orleans, and we've got to do a better job of cleaning up the city. Finally, look at the last election. Turnout was only 22% for the runoff, and that's pitiful. The primary election, it was 35%. So we've got a lot of apathetic people in the state of Louisiana that are voting. Really good best among the candidates as far as vote totals.
I actually got more votes than the governor, but look, it's true. I got more votes out of the world since Crouere, and there's 43%.
And you know what? Jeff Landry did better than Eddie Rasconi did. So, as I said earlier, I think there is, a silver lining to all this. I think things are changing as far as how people historically vote. And why not? Because do you know how many Republican elected officials there are in New Orleans? 0. There's no Republican elected official that just serves the city of New Orleans. So all the problems that we were talking about earlier in New Orleans are the problems of one party, and that's the Democrat Party. And it's the same thing in Baltimore, same thing in Chicago, same thing in New York. All of these cities that are run by Democrats, all their problems are owned by one party. So the folks that live there and want change, they've got to change the way they vote. They've got to start voting Republican. So I'm thinking after all these years of problems and crime and the blight and the poverty, that people will start maybe waking up and realizing they have to change the way they vote. So I'm hoping what happened with Billy, what happened in the last election, accelerates and happens a lot more in the next election. And finally, I just wanted to say this one last thing. I know we got to go. Then y'all might have a comment. Billy was talking about how the diversions are killing the dolphins. I had a guy on the program talking about how these wind farms are killing whales. And all these wind farms are like the whole Democrat nirvana. They want these wind farms everywhere. And then I found out that we passed a project here in Louisiana. And we're going to be doing this. It was passed unanimously by the legislature to have this massive wind farm in the Gulf. And that is going to benefit certain legislators financially. And all these wind farms do are kill massive birds and fish. And why does the state of Louisiana, so energy rich, need a wind farm out in the Gulf? So that is just another example of these boondoggles get passed. I agree with him. I'm completely against this diversion. We got to stop that. That's a horrible project. It's going to kill our seafood industry. So we got a lot we got to do this upcoming year. I'm a little hopeful. We got a 2/3 majority. We got Republicans all over. They better deliver. We got to keep our eyes on them. I'm really worried about our Secretary of State, to be honest with you. That's going to be who I'm really going to be focusing on. I feel good about some of these others. And I want to encourage everyone to listen. Martha's on WGSO with me. She's on Thursday evenings at 5 with her show, Liberty or Lockdown. And I'm on in the morning, 7 to 11. Y'all listen to WGSO. It's the only locally owned station, the only station that allows conservatives to have a voice. And we're the only ones that really believe in free speech. We don't censor our calls. Thank you all. Appreciate it. That's good news. I did hear that Trump was looking good in the polls, so maybe that's the reason. You know, we had a lot of Trump in Georgia, and I don't really trust the way they do elections there. I don't think their Secretary of State is good at all, and I'm not really a big fan of the governor either, but I think that's good. I mean, that's encouraging.
It's more room for them to have to cheat. They'll have to do more pulling votes over from one to the other. It'll be too obvious.
Right. And we want to make it as difficult as possible for them, right? Because in the past, we've made it too easy for them to cheat and how they cheated. Any other comments? Yes.
Can we take away some of the constitutional powers of the legislature? Please.
You're talking about not the city council, you're talking about the Louisiana legislature. Now, that's a great idea. Now, if that happens, of course, what will she say?
Whether it's true or not.
She'll say it's racist. Yeah. Yeah. But, and I think we come back to her and say, no, it's because of incompetence and because of your election duty and because of abuse of power.
And don't abuse the rights.
And I think all these other reasons we can point out to, but that's something I want to look into. Yes. Yes. A good friend of mine had a 2-hour meeting with her and just reported back to me that he is impressed with her. He thinks she'll be an improvement over what we had. And thinks that it was good to have an outsider come in because of the problems in the department. And there were some issues with the other one that we didn't recognize publicly. But the problem is, of course, is that they're not recruiting new officers. Because in the day where they want to defund police and demonize police, nobody wants to be a police officer. So, do you know that New Orleans really should have 1,600 officers?
Yes.
And if we have 900?
Yes.
And then in New York last year, they lost 2,500 officers. So this is not just here, it's going on all over the country. And what happens when you don't have enough police, obviously, crime goes up. I agree. So I think actually this was probably a good move to bring her on because I think an outside leader coming in is probably better because of the problems they got in the department. So anyway, we'll see all I want to do and make sure that she's delivering, but she's got a job ahead of her. And they first need to figure out how to recruit officers because they're not. Right?
Jeff, I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for all of the different things that you do, the different things that you are.
Oh, thank you. I just want to let y'all know now to be having a little celebration next year. It'll be my 25th anniversary on the air. So I'll let y'all know we have a little party. So, hope y'all get fun. Thanks for having me.
In order to elect the officers for the Women's Republican Club of New Orleans for 2024-2025, we had to choose a nominating committee consisting of 5 members, 3 from the executive board and 2 from membership. The nominating committee was then met before our September meeting. And in September, the slate of officers for 2024 were presented. In October, the slate of officers and others wishing to run from the floor were given a chance to address the membership and voted according to the WRCNO bylaws. The new slate of officers for 2024 are going to be sworn in today. And this is Christy Haik. She's the president of the LRA. And we're going to have Louisiana, she's the founder of the Louisiana Conservatives. We're going to have her swear us in. And the following members are the
Thank you, Terry. I'm a bad substitute for the Nungesser. They were supposed to do the swear. But the following officers have been elected for the 2024 to 2025 reign. They include Terry Bishop, treasurer, Connie Zimmerman, corresponding secretary. Stand up as your name is called and join us, please. We're going to swear you in. Terry Bourgeois, Connie Zimmerman, we have Linda Weinwoodson.
Yes. Recording secretary.
Come on up, Linda. It's 20 years of journey. Carol Davis, vice president. Come on up, Carol. Cindy Mitchell, first vice president. Okay, sorry. And drum roll, Martha Humphrey, president. So if you ladies would just raise your right hand and repeat after me. I hereby promise to uphold the office of
I hereby promise to uphold the office of secretary
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
for the next 2 years
for the next 2 years
according to the NFRA bylaws
in accordance to the NFRA bylaws
and the LRA.
and the LRA. I state your name. I state your name.
Yes.
Very excited. Long time coming. That's how radical. That would be sick. It's a diamond necklace.
But what we're going to do with LRA is we're going to have a chapter in all 6 congressional districts. And we will have maybe more than 6 chapters. If like we got those larger regions in North Louisiana, congressional district, we might have more than start with one in every district. So New Orleans is up and ready to roll, and I just can't wait. Yeah, and we will be endorsing candidates. We'll be endorsing. We'll be choosing and training candidates as well. So it will be hands-on. We're going to be so busy.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to do it right now because you see what's on the
Yes, it's an airplane.
It's an airplane.
I see it.
And what does an airplane do? It takes off.
Wow. Yes. Yes. Adorable. What a great gift. Yeah. work in a
So
store.
we are getting ready to take
And it's made in Italy.
And I want you to
Yeah,
buckle
that's
up,
right.
because, yeah, we just found ourselves a Louisiana covering and a national covering. It will be a part of a new federation that's ultra conservative. MAGA.
Yes.
So, we are just. Thank you very much.
And made in Italy, not China.
Yes, yes. So we're gonna get a picture with.
And Martha,
Susie,
what,
can you get a picture for us?
what is the station on the radio? 990? Is that what you got though? 990 AM?